Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. Happy New Year to every single Villa fan out there. Hopefully, we're going to have a really good year as Aston Villa fans. So if you are new around here, let's have a 2025 New Year early subscriber blitz. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you are subscribing. Let's try and get a bulk of new subscribers early doors in 2025. Let's have a light target on this one of 600 to see in the new year, and comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So today's episode is all about our 2025 Aston Villa dream. We're also going to be doing the Leicester City preview as well on this episode. So I really wanted to start the year off with gauging where we're all at, where we're all thinking, what's the aim, what's the dream. Unai Emery has already told us previously that there's no limits to our dreams. So we can dream big. And I really wanted to just think about starting off with this season, finishing off this season in 2025. What do we want to see? What's our dream? So Villa fans, in the comment section, let me know what your dream for 2025 is. Mine is, it's pretty simple, really. It's pretty not that difficult to get, I don't think, anyway. My dream for Aston Villa in 2025 is to qualify for Europe again. In whatever form, in whatever format, whether that be Champions League, the dream, we're only 3 points off it at the minute, whether that be Europa League or whether that be Conference League. Because I've stuck by from pretty much my season predictions that it is integral for this football club to have consistent campaigns in Europe. That would mean that we are challenging at the top end of the Premier League, season in, season out. We can understand that we're not the finished article yet. We're far from probably what Unai Emery has his ideal Villa team to be. So within those seasons, there probably are going to be little bits of ups, little bits of downs. But as long as we stay in and around that European zone, I think I'm pretty comfortable. Obviously, until we reach the peak of where we as a club or Emery decides that we should be challenging for, say, a top four every single season. He doesn't say that at the minute. I don't think any Villa fan would expect top four every single season. I think that is probably the peak of what we can achieve, and then we can filter it down. But within qualifying for Europe this season, I also do really want to see something else happen. And I would love for us to get to the quarterfinals in and around it of the Champions League. Now, it would be a remarkable achievement for Aston Villa in our first season back in the Champions League, the top-end European Cup, to get to the quarterfinals. The first ever year we won it. Second season we're in it, we got to the quarters. We've never finished below the quarters. And I would think that that would be a fantastic achievement. Look, as soon as you get to the quarters, no one's telling me that we can't go further, because anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. But baby steps, we've got to get into this top 8 first, or we've got to get into the next phase playoff, or we've got to get into the round of 16. But I would love us to get to the quarters. But I would hate for us to get far in the Champions League and the following season we've got no Europe. That would be a bit of a disaster for me. Because for all of that, getting to deep in the Champions League or achieving something in the Champions League of sort of showing what we can do, what we're capable of, we're able to compete against Bayern Munich, Juventus, beat Bologna. We've got Celtic to come, and we're mixing it with those teams that are season in, season out. To then have a season where you're not in Europe it'd just be a disaster. Because even though for our fan experience, it would be amazing, we'd have those memories, I would feel it would be sort of for nothing. Because for all of those experiences of doing well, I want to see us take that into another European campaign, to be able to go, do you know what? We've got that experience. We might be in the Europa League. We've got that experience there to keep going. You know how like Dortmund got to the final of the Champions League, and they're just that club that have just got that experience. So that is what I really want to see us do. I want to see us qualify for Europe in the league, and I want to see us go far in the Champions League. That would be my dream merged together. I don't think I'm asking for a lot there. I don't think I'm asking for a lot at all. As you'll see from the thumbnail, we've got Unai Emery holding the FA Cup. Yeah, right. Justin didn't design the thumbnail, by the way, guys. That's not Justin who's manifesting the FA Cup. But it would be nice to get to the later stages of an FA Cup, wouldn't it? Some form of FA Cup run would be absolutely lovely. And we start it off with our 150-year anniversary game against West Ham, which is an opportunity as we're at home to progress. There's no Jared Bowen, so he normally scores against us. So it would be really nice to take that serious. It would be nice to just get the luck of the draw and to just ease our way through it. I mean, you look at some of the games that have popped up, and Spurs have got Tamworth. I mean, that's a good game. That's a wicked game. I'd love the Villa to have got Tamworth, but we sort of like the hot ball, and there's another hot ball, and they're rummaging. It's like, hot ball, Villa, West Ham, 2 Premier League games, 2 Premier League teams, sorry. So, yeah, that's frustrating. So, I'd love to see that. And then finally, it edges us towards sort of like the summer, is that just to see through PSR and for Emery to just keep building the squad and for us to just become more complete within our identity. I think within this season especially, we can all see that the squad is somewhat slightly unbalanced in certain areas, and I would love that to just become a bit more complete going into the season that will be going into 25-26 season. So I think that's something that I would really like to see. So those are my sort of things that I would like to see in 2025. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. I imagine some of you are going to put, I'd just love to see a right back. And that's fair enough. So if you want to get funny with it and put some funny ones in there, that's fine. Or if you want to take it serious like I have, and share your thoughts on what you would like to see. Within the Premier League, 2024 calendar year Premier League was okay. It was okay. It wasn't groundbreakingly amazing, because obviously part of this season we've been okay. Part of last season, start of the year, again, was okay. But context of the combined 2024 wasn't actually that bad, really. So we've got 2024 across January through till December, and Aston Villa are in 6th place. And you can see the points tally between us and Chelsea, which is quite a lot. Us and Newcastle have climbed above us a little bit, but obviously they've hit form in December, so they've got 4 or 5 wins in a row. So I imagine that's where that sort of took them. And then we've sort of got that little bit of compact nature in 7th, 8th, 9th. We're still above Spurs. We're above Man United. So it was okay, wasn't it? And we're still 6th. So I feel like if we can just improve slightly now and get a little bit more consistent and just raise our level this year, 2025, till the end of the season, then if we're staying and around that 6th spot there, then we'll get Europe again. And that is exactly where I want us to be. So improvement is needed. I think we're all fully aware of that. I think Emery would be aware of it as well. And yeah, let's just hope 2025 is a good one for Aston Villa. So we've got West Ham. We've got Leicester up next at home. Leicester under Van Nistelrooy. I really disliked Nistelrooy as a kid growing up because he just always scored. And when I was at school with like Man United fans, and Nistelrooy was just bagging. I just really disliked him. But as a manager, I actually quite like him. You know, his little specs on and that. He looks quite cool on the touchline. And actually, for Manchester United, he was able to get a draw against Chelsea. He was able to beat Leicester in the league. So their form over the Nistelrooy era was actually quite good compared to what Amorim's doing at the minute. And it's a little bit weird, isn't it, with like Man United and these legends that they can get a tune out of Man United. You look at like Solskjaer, Nistelrooy, they sort of get that sort of like Manchester United way still, don't they? It's sort of like ingrained in their DNA that they can somehow just get it. And looking at it now, Man United would have probably been better off giving him sort of like till the end of the season and then go and get a new manager. Because Amorim at the minute, I mean, I know he wants to play his own style, but yeah, that's just not working. And they are like a sinking ship. They're just like a lead balloon that's just dropping, and he can't find an answer. And yeah, it's a little bit random that it was Ten Hag's fault, and then now it's the players' fault, and now it's like now the owners are sort of getting a little bit of stick. Ineos are getting a little bit of stick. So Man United's an absolute mess, and that's not going to be solved anytime soon because you can blame the players, you can want to get rid of the players, but who's buying them? Who's buying those Man United players? You wouldn't touch them with. I mean, who's buying Anthony? Who's buying Anthony, really? No one. I'll tell you who would be quite good at Villa. Xerxes. He would be. I think Xerxes would actually be quite good at Villa under Emery. Emery could unlock him because the Bologna Xerxes was brilliant, and he just doesn't suit Man United. So I think if we were looking for a bit of an attacker, Xerxes, whether it be on loan or something, I think I'd take that. But anyway, it's not Man United up next. It is Leicester. So Van Nistelrooy started pretty well, and then the form's been a little bit off it recently. They've lost a lot of games. They're conceding a lot of goals as well. If we have a little look at the form table, so he came in and he beat West Ham. He got a draw against Brighton, and then they've got 4 defeats in a row, and they've conceded a lot of goals. They've conceded 4 against Newcastle. They conceded 3 against Wolves. They conceded 3 against Liverpool, and they conceded 2 against Manchester City. So they're conceding a lot of goals at the minute, which Aston Villa create a lot of chances. So if we've got our shooting boots on, hopefully we can finish our dinner on Saturday. If you look at the Premier League table, we spoke about this when we played Southampton. And we spoke about how the 3 promoted teams are looking like they're going down. But if you look at that now, you've got Ipswich that have got 2 wins in their last 5 games, which is good for them. And you look at that table now and you're thinking, it's actually quite tight, isn't it? You've got Leicester on 14, Ipswich 15, Wolves 16, Everton 17, who are they're not climbing away, are they, Everton? That would be a big, big worry there. You've got Palace on 20, Man United on 22. Man United's next couple of games, I mean, we've got to have a look at it. We spoke about United a little bit. If we have a little look at their next fixtures. So they've got Liverpool next. They've got Arsenal in the FA Cup. And then I think they've got 2 games. So they've got Southampton and Brighton. Tough fixtures for Man United. And if some of them teams below United can get a win this weekend, apart from Leicester, of course, they'll be dragged even further into that mix. But yeah, you look at that, and I think Wolves probably will be okay. That their new manager looks like he's got a big bounce out of them. I still think Palace are okay. I'm looking at Everton there. If any of them teams are going to go, I'm probably more confident that they're probably going to drop than Wolves and Palace. So, Leicester are doing well to be in the mix to survive. I think you look at the form of 4 losses in a row, and you're thinking it's shocking, but it's quite close. It's quite close down there. No one sort of broke away from it yet. I think Southampton are done. They're relegated, aren't they? They're not. They're 10 points from safety. So Southampton are gone. But the other 2, I think they've got a little bit of a fighting chance, really. There's some Leicester players that I really like. Buonanotte, I think he's brilliant on loan from Brighton. He's looked a real threat all season. Mavididi, I think he's tricky, pacey. But it's the Leicester defence that lets them down. That's why, if they're going to go down, that's why they're going to go down. I think you've got to give shout out to Jamie Vardy that, he's still bagging goals in the Premier League. He's still doing really, really well. And please, just no Vardy chance. No Vardy chance. Because let's just play the game with we don't need the animosity. We don't need it. We don't need the niggle. Let's just win the game, because at the minute, we're a bit twitchy at times at the back if we lead in, or going into the final 15. We're having an absolute shocker into the final 15. So, there's that stat going around as well that teams are scoring from their first shot every single game against Aston Villa, that's got to improve. We've got to change that. So that's something that we really need to make sure doesn't happen anymore. So what we're going to do is going to predict the Villa lineup. We'll merge the 2 teams together, and we'll have a little look at where the game is going to be won. So let's get stuck into it then. So I'll get the Villa team. Right. We'll go Martinez in goal. Now, we've obviously got 2 players that need to come out the team because Pau's out and Rodgers is suspended. So those are what we've got to think about. What I will say, Villa fans, is I am pretty much nailing this team every single week, right? I don't know how I'm doing it, but me and Justin the other day, we nailed it. We brought Bailey back in, and we just smashed it. We put Conser at right back. We put Carlos in there. We've started with Pau. We got it absolutely bang on. So, if you want early team news, this is it, right? This is the team at 3. No, it won't be 3 o'clock, will it? What time will it be? 1:45 on Saturday. This is what you're going to see. We're going to have Cash at right back. We're going to have Konsa at centre half with Tyrone Mings. And we're going to have Luca Dean. I was tempted to go with Maatsen, but with Cash coming back in, Mings coming in, we can't keep changing this back line. I've never known a team change their defence as much as what we do. You have to keep a settled back line. You look at Liverpool, you look at Arsenal, it's settled. As isn't. So let's play a settled back line for, say, 2 or 3 games and just get that continuity, that feeling, partnerships. But I do think Maatsen is better alongside Mings. He would play better with Mings. So that would be an option, but I can't see us going with Maatsen, Mings, Concert and Cash. You know, we're changing 3 players from the team that played against Brighton. You can't do that. Right, then we're going to go with a double pivot of Kamara and Onana. That will be the double pivot. I like this triangle that we have with Concert, Kamara and Cash. I like it. It works. It's got that connection of what we've seen in previous games, etc., and what we saw last year. I like that. I like the physicality in there of Kamara and Onana. Onana needs to play games. He needs to have a run of games now where we're starting to see what he's all about. I want to see the Onana back from the start of the season. And I can understand sometimes why players dip off slightly. The injuries are a big part of it. The injuries that he's had, the niggle, the playing through injuries, the same with Bailey. You know, I think he's had 2 or 3 injuries this season. And to get your momentum, but to trust your body, that is a big part of it as well. You have to trust your body. And I think Bailey is that player that if he doesn't trust his body, his form dips. And I actually feel like he's back now. He's back 100%. I thought he played really well against Brighton. He was a lot more threatening. You know, he was having those shots. He got 2 or 3 shots off. He was driving forward. So if that's a starting block for him, let him build it now. Let his performances get better because he needs to put 2024 behind him and start 2025 on the front foot. So Kamara and Onana for me. On the left, I'm going with McGinn. And on the right, I'm going with Bailey. So that is my 2 wide players. I actually quite like McGinn on the left. I kind of feel, for me, when I see McGinn, I think he's better on the left. I think that's his better position because I think he can get in there and I think he can help that midfield out a bit more as well. I like it when he can drop in there more. So that would be my 2 either side of the double pivot. Then that would lead Watkins, and off Watkins, I am going with Yuri Tielemans. So that is my lineup for Leicester. Now, what I think is quite good about this lineup is that it's got the protection with Kamara and Onana in front of the back 4. It's got Tielemans that has got more license to press, the link up, the vision. He can find Watkins. He can find Bailey through there as well. We've got McGinn, like I say, that can drop through there. We've got width with Bailey on that right-hand side. And then we've got Watkins who can run channels, etc. So I think that's what I would go with. I think that is probably the best option of what we've got. We could start with Ramsey, but I don't think Ramsey is ready to start games at this moment in time. He needs to keep coming off the bench and building it. So the big battle, really, against Leicester is going to be middle of the park. You've got Mavididi, who's going to be wanting to get into those areas. He's going to be threatening against Cash, but we've got Konsa in there as well. Mings and Konsa. Konsa dealt with Vardy really well in the reverse fixture. Buonanotte, he's a player that will be drifting in and around this zone in a sort of a number 10 role, so he's not going to stay out wide and offer that width. He'll want to come inside a little bit as well. We've got Winks and Sumare, who are going to be the holders. Justin will like to get forward. So will Christensen. But that back four can really be got at. Cody, Vestergaard, Watkins can stretch it. Tielemans, do you know what? Tielemans is going to score against Leicester. That is what is going to happen. He's going to score and get his first Premier. Is it going to be his first Premier League goal of the season? Because I don't think Tielemans, McGinn, or Bailey have got one. So I think Tielemans is going to score in this game. So that's going to be my lineup. We'll have a quick little look at just the game against Manchester City, because I actually felt like Leicester played quite well. So we'll just have a little look at where those players do like to roam around a little bit. So here you can see Buonanotte out wide, coming inside, playing in that sort of number 10 role. We've got El Canous as well, who drifts out wide. We've got Mavididi, who's going to be hugging that touchline. We've got Vardy, touches sparse, but you can see where his main touches are. So that's the area that we've got to stop him. And then you've got the two holders and then the two fullbacks that like to get forward as well. And then those are the positions for the defenders. So hopefully you've enjoyed this show. A little bit different to talk about at the start of it, but it's going to be really interesting to see what you guys have got to say. Let me know how you're feeling about the game against Leicester. Subscribe to the channel. Drop the likes, drop the comments. Have a good one. Happy New Year.